Do you lie to yourself about being right when you're actually wrong? Do you make excuses to cover your mistakes? Do you blame others? Welcome to Be a Better Person, and today's topic is going to be admit when you are wrong. And again, I want to remind everybody Be a Better Person is a channel dedicated for you to improve yourself, for you to not worry about everyone else, but for you to have self-love, self-care, self-improvement, kindness, gratitude, everything that makes you a better person, not for anybody else, but for yourself. And I also want to say that the things that I talk about might not be the same for everyone. What works for me might not work for you. It's not a one thing fit all. And again, I'm only trying to build a community where we have some comments, so maybe people can bring things to my attention that I maybe never thought about. So let's continue where we talk about admit when you are wrong. So I think that good leaders, great leaders, whatever you want to say, are people who take the blame when things go wrong, not push it off on their subordinates. And when there's praise to be said, again, pushes all that over on their subordinates or the people who are underneath them or the people that they're trying to lead. So the biggest thing in that is to admit when you're wrong. And trust me, I was not one of those people back when I was much younger. I would not necessarily, I don't think I threw people under the bus so much, but I wanted to be perfect. I couldn't admit when I was wrong. I had a hard time seeing other point of views. And now I work really hard on trying to make sure that I call my own self out. I tell on myself when I've done things wrong. Even if nobody maybe was going to find out about it, I want to make sure that I say that I was wrong, that I made a mistake, that I did an error, but I try to do whatever I can to correct it as quickly as possible. And I try to do that with actions, not just words. So let's just talk about, so I was very fortunate that at the age of 27 years old, I was an ad director of 5 publications. And I had a lot of people who either were directly underneath me or who I had power over, or as in a work-related position. Like I said, some people were direct reports, other people were just on the side. For example, like the people who were typesetters, they weren't actually my employees, but I could say direct them to do certain things. And so, like I said, back then, I'm the boss. People have to do what I say. And that didn't go very well because it's way better when you can be collaborative. And I made way more mistakes because I didn't ask questions and include the subordinate people, either give them the power to make decisions or to become better at their jobs, or go get advice from them, or hey, what do you think about this idea? Get their input before I implemented things. I sometimes would just implement things and then fail miserably. When you make a mistake, you just have to own up to it. I think that people have more respect for you. And again, back then, I still think I owned up to my mistakes, but I don't think I listened or got input from other people. I think that I just really tried to be what I had always thought was a boss. So you're the boss, you tell people what to do. They have to listen. And if they don't listen, then everything's wrong. Again, hard habits, because that's why I went up going through the management thing. But I think I did get a lot better at it. Again, when I was at a hospital, at the environmental manager, housekeepers and janitors in a hospital, I think there's many times, that's when I kind of started making the huge change, because there's things that I went to go implement and then I was smart enough to say, hey, is this going to work? And when we went and tried to get new business, because we had several outbuildings that were cleaned by different companies, and said, hey, why are we not cleaning these? I got 2 of the housekeepers and went through the areas separately, not together, because I wanted to get their opinions on time it would take to clean these areas. They're the ones who cleaned every day. I didn't know. I didn't clean every day. So I got them. We walked through the areas. I told them to give me some ideas of each area, how much time they thought it would take to clean. And the funny thing was, is when we were all done, they were probably within an hour of some pretty substantial areas of cleaning of what they thought it would take to clean. And again, I could have made up a number or used some formula that was used by this group or that group, but instead I took housekeepers who cleaned every day and had them walk through. And so that's some things that I've learned over time. And I even in my job right now, I'm trying to learn to ask people. I mean, a lot of my times I'm like, here's the problem. I need input. What can we do to make sure this never happens again? And then have them and then another thing I always did as a manager, whenever I had to talk to an employee about an issue, is I always said, hey, here's the issue, here's the problem. Then, they would either deny that there was the issue or problem, and I would always make sure that I had factual information, whether it would be video or be several people saying that the same thing was happening, not just one. I always got the other person's side of the story. And then I would say, what is your plan to fix it? So that if we had to have a second conversation later on, they had already told me what their plan was. And I could say, hey, this was your plan. What happened? Why did we not get through it? So again, always just admit when you're wrong. Another thing too is, a lot of times people, when they're wrong, guilty at times back in my past, not so much anymore, but you lash out, you get angry. Instead of saying, because you think that if you made a mistake or if you're wrong about something, that it's the end of the world. Well, mistakes are how we learn. If we never made a single mistake, we probably never learn anything. And so you got to remember that mistakes are part of learning. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you don't make the same mistakes over and over and over, that you learn from them. And so now it's way better because I'm not afraid of being wrong. There's so many things back in my past I didn't do because I was afraid of failing. And now I don't care. If I fail, I just try to learn from it. I try to make sure I don't make the same mistake. So always listen. That's the most important thing. Always try to get other viewpoints, understand. It might not change your mind, but it might help you understand a little better. I make sure that when you make a mistake or when you are, you're saying, hey, this is what I did wrong, this is what I'm doing, apologize for it, and then try to make sure that you back it up with actual actions, not just the words. You can't just say, I'm sorry, and then go back and do the same thing again. I mean, you can, but nobody's going to really pretty soon your apology is not going to mean anything. So admit when you're wrong. See, I go back and I've apologized to my children several times. They still say I'm a good dad, so I guess I got to believe them. But I mean, I apologize to them for all the things that I did wrong in the way I raised them. They think that they've been raised great, and I think they are pretty good people in general, and they try to do good things. But I still think there's so many things I could have gotten better, I could have done right. And I know when you're learning, I was failing, I was making mistakes, and I hopefully have learned from them to try and move forward. And sometimes you should just take the blame even when it wasn't your fault, especially if it's something that you're doing for a team or a group of people, that you just lose that ego. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to make a mistake. Use it to learn, make adjustments, make sure that your actions are going to follow your words, and just don't be afraid. It's okay to fail. It's okay to not always be right. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be wrong. And you should always have an open mind to take in different viewpoints that could possibly change your mind. Try to understand where the other thing's coming from. So yeah, it's okay to be wrong. That's, again, how we learn. So do you admit your mistakes? What are some things that you do that you've learned from being wrong? Do you make the same mistakes over and over, or do you usually make adjustments after one mistake so that you don't make it? Is there some kind of formula? Is there some kind of system that you have to make sure that when you're wrong, you admit it, and that you can do things to make sure that you're not going to be wrong for the same thing again. I mean, we're all human. We make mistakes. We'll always make mistakes. We can be wrong about things that maybe we didn't understand, or maybe we got misinformation from somewhere. But admit when you're wrong. That's the biggest thing. So always remember, your smile makes me smile. Be kind, be grateful, be helpful, and until next time, have a great day.